The referees might not want Manchester City to win, but at least they've got Alisson in their corner. This is the ArsenalVision post-match podcast, and it's me, Phil Costa, jumping straight on the microphone after Arsenal saw their 9-point lead at the top of the Premier League reduced to 6 points, thanks to Manchester City coming from behind in quite unbelievable circumstances to beat Liverpool 2-1 at Anfield. Football, eh? Bloody hell. I mean, I don't really know what I've just watched because it looked like Liverpool would go on to win when Dominic Sobotzslai whacked another free kick into the top corner, but 2 goals in the last 10 minutes, including a mad third goal that was disallowed, saw them snatch their first win at Anfield in 10 years, which very much keeps them within touching distance and just, keeps that pressure there. 6 points is still healthy, but they're still there. And obviously this is a slightly unusual Sunday night main pod, but I'm glad we're doing it now while everything is fresh. And joining me to try and make sense of that is Clive. Hello, Clive.
Hello.
Oh God, that's a somber introduction. And we've also got Paul. Hello, Paul.
Woohoo! Sort of.
Oh, guys, don't bail on me now. Come on, we need to lift some spirits. I mean, Clive, you were out watching the game, so analysis may vary, but I'm sure you were locked in. Could you tell me what the hell just happened there and try and break it down, please?
Yeah, it's an interesting game. I think, we're football lovers first and foremost, aren't we? So that if you love your football, that's the sort of game that can stay in your mind. But I must admit, I was happier about minute 70 than I was at minute 99. And so when they scored, we all went deja vu. We've seen that free kick before, and it's quite interesting when you take up supporting another team. You see all their frailties, shall we say. And I've always rated Liverpool, but mate, come on now, pass the ball straight, do the right thing, and they're not quite balanced. They haven't got the bench, and this whole weekend for me has been about benches. And Liverpool's bench looked really weak. City's bench was stronger. The players that came on had more of an impact for City in this game. When we talk about Arsenal yesterday, the bench was fantastic, wasn't it? And how it changed the game. And this is where football's going. And Liverpool went for the expensive signings, but didn't go for the depth signings. And they're sitting, I don't know how many points behind us, 17 points behind us, maybe. And I'm not sure that's the right strategy.
It's a
right?
lot.
So
I don't even bother to check, to be honest. Yeah.
So yeah, an incredible game and incredible day that took a little bit of wind out of ourselves from yesterday, which we'll go on to in the feeling around the ground. But what I will say is that Arsenal sitting there on 53 points today, and I've never seen a league won with 53 points. So whatever happened, we needed to win more football matches. So get your head up. People, get your head up. This is never going to be a procession, and we need to want this. We want this hard. We want this. We want to put them to bed, and we can't be afraid of the challenge. We want to rise to it, right? So that's where I am right now. We're about half an hour after that game's finished, and I'm sure I'll be more sanguine. Even by tomorrow, I'll be better. But hey, that's where we are.
I mean, I was just telling you pre-recording, I had my shells ready and the shotgun, the Schadenfreude was ready to go. I would have done Elliot proud with a few of my lines, but unfortunately, they've both been resigned to a Google Doc. Paul, what were you thinking when Sobotzslai whacked that free kick into the top corner? Apart from the obvious deja vu, were you booking some flights to London in May, or?
It was starting to lure me in. I mean, Clive says the league can't be won at the start of February on 53 points, but I was there, which I have not been. I was all right, they're screwed. What was I thinking? I was thinking probably what Dominic Sobotzslai was thinking, which is, they haven't put a wall in front of me. Interesting choice. In fact, they had two guys. They had one City guy, 2 Liverpool guys, and the City guy is like, we don't want any wall at all. So he removed the 2 Liverpool players from the wall too. And that was the other thing I was thinking. But yes, after it went in, I'm like, well, the best that's going to happen here is they pull it back to a draw, 8 points. It's like, feeling good, Phil. Not feeling as good now. I got to say, though, I got to make an astute observation here.
Go on.
Football's a silly sport. That was a silly match. The referees are all corrupt. What the hell do they think? Refereeing that game reasonably fairly. what's going on here? Like how much more corrupt can you be than making reasonable decisions in a football match and City powering to a win? Yeah, it's very dispiriting, Phil. I haven't got on the roller coaster to date that other people have, but I got lured onto it momentarily as Liverpool went 1 goal up.
I mean, I think we all did. And Elliot, if you're listening, send the cease and desist Paul's way, not my way. I just think, really frustrating that Liverpool couldn't hold on. They couldn't see it through. And actually, it's a bad result for them in terms of their Champions League ambitions. But ultimately, nothing changes for Arsenal. We're in an excellent position. We need to take care of ourselves. And we are responsible for our own future, right? So that's my lingering sentiment from today. It would have been amazing to be 9 points clear. Would have been amazing to be 8 points clear. We're stuck at 6, but ultimately we're still in a great position. And we've got an Arsenal win to talk about. So let's move on to that. And before we get into the game, let's talk about the lineup quickly, because there were 5 changes from the team that beat Chelsea midweek, with Raya, Calafiori, Havertz, Trossard and Jesus all starting, coming back in. And I think most people were happy with that. We need to build Calafiori some rhythm, and he works well with that more traditional pivot, I think, with Rice and Zubimendi, also with Trossard. We know that Havertz and Jesus have played well together before. Trossard is a much more natural analogue to Madueke on the other side. So I think in terms of the lineup, most people were happy. Clive, what were your thoughts on the team, and were you happy with the pairs and relationships that were selected?
Yeah, well, I'm sorry to say this. I think that when you watch
right, so most people were happy. Clive was not
well,
happy.
It's when you watch the team from the previous game, when you see what they put in the Chelsea game, and you see the effort and the psychological effort they had to put in, and you know there's going to be some change. I think was there 4 or 5 changes in the starting lineup, maybe potentially, and so you sort of
5.
see that the back 4 all stayed on the pitch. So I actually thought Ben White would have started this game. So that surprised me, actually. In particular, Timber missed a day of training. I don't think it would have been the worst thing in the world to play Ben White, so maybe there's something happening there. And then the centre mid, we all wanted that to stay the same. But if Norgard would have started, I'd have been fine. Calafiori is definitely going to start, considering he had 0 minutes in the last game. I'd say it's just a continuation, really. Jesus didn't get any minutes in the last Chelsea game, so he was going to play. Havertz only a little bit of time. Odegaard wasn't available. So the team sort of presents itself to you, and then you got to say, well, do I like it? Well, it's interesting to see how we played this game, and it's all right. Madueke does his normal 1 hour job. He looks dangerous, and he's a box of chocolates. What's he going to do? Beat his man, kick it in the car park, or kick it top corner, cross it? He's all effort. He's all threat, and he's needed. You know, that's to balance out the rest of the team. And then you got to ask yourself what we're doing at centre forward space, and that's an interesting discussion. I'm sure you get onto it, but yeah, it's fine. But as I've said already, I've said it once. It's about the squad now, isn't it? It's about the squad. It's about what you do and how you adapt to the flow of a game. But there was a lovely feeling around the ground. I will say that it felt like the day after the day, you know. So the people that you were hugging on, like after the Chelsea game, you see them all again and think about, that wasn't me jumping up and down, you know, like an idiot. You know what I mean? It was quite nice to see everybody again. And then we played in a really comfortable way, you know, a real mature way. And I had some lovely post-match feelings talking to people that felt really positive about what we just done. And yeah, you're starting to think, you know what, we look all right. We look mature. We look really good. You know, doing things at 7 out of 10 effort. Winning the game 3-0 at home. There you go, have a drink, go home. It's like, this is good. You know, and I suppose today, he says, how we're recording on a Sunday, the City game is in my head. Got to be honest with you, it's in my head. But, like I said earlier, the challenge of football is exactly that. It's a challenge, and we can't be afraid of it.
I mean, Paul, we kind of touched on it in the instant reaction, but did you expect anyone else to come in? Obviously, I think the main decision in the forward line would have been, do we go with Havertz again from the start, or does Eze get another start in the number 10 position? Were you happy with what you saw?
Yeah, especially like the Eze one, you could see why you'd want him in the team maybe for a bit of creativity, but Trossard, like, we'll talk about him, but
we will, don't worry.
Yeah. He was given interesting duty, much more of a free role. And I would have bet on Gyokeres for no other reason than statistically he tends to start. But Jesus was due a start. And this was a game in which I think we expected them to be pretty aggressive at centre-back. They might even have, an extra centre-back in there. They didn't go that way in the end, but you could see why, why have Gyokeres there when this could be the game that Jesus does the false nine thing. He tends to go left. Havertz tends to split to the right. So you could see a nice balance that should form there. We also talked in the instant reaction how I liked it more on paper than I liked it in the first half. Not that it was a bad first half, but there were the things that, as we talked about it in the lineup, I'm like, and you could see Havertz going right and Jesus going left and Trossard this and that. It was tough going in the first half because they were really bloody good and they gave us a good game. And that's not talking us down, but it took us a while. You certainly wouldn't categorize the first half as being about us controlling it. Not that we were in trouble or anything like that, but it certainly wasn't necessarily the game you picture in your head when you look at the lineup. It was a really good game. They could hurt you with deliveries. They were physical, like we remember. They were challenging, and it was a really good game. And okay, the neutrals won't love it because the neutrals never like our game, but screw them. It was an interesting tactical battle. And, the lineup, I don't think there were choices made. Calafiori back in does some things, right? He's still got some rust on him, but that changes the space we leave for him to charge up and, how Rice plays. And we're seeing Zubimendi get forward a little bit more into Odegaard's space. So, yeah, that's kind of what I expected to see first half, even though I didn't see as much of it as I had pictured.
I mean, you're right to say it was a battle because most of us expected Sunderland to sit deep, shut down the central areas, double up on our wingers, which they still did at times. But they did show some ambition to push forward, which maybe shocked Arsenal a little bit. We know how physical and energetic they are as a team, particularly in midfield with Diarra and Siddiqui in there. But they don't care about playing through the thirds. They just want to hit Brobbey up front and then get players around him. They want to win those second balls and then go from there. I mean, let's touch on him quickly. Brian Brobbey, what a throwback striker. I quite enjoyed his battle with Saliba, actually, because he was definitely unsettled during that first half hour. He got booked as well, but the way they were holding, grappling, pulling each other's shirts. I mean, he's so unbelievably strong without being a huge guy. I think he's like 5'11" or something. So you can see how difficult he is to stop once he gets his feet planted and his backside into you. I mean, his challenge on Zubimendi was very orange, actually, and on another day could have easily been red. But Clive, what did you make of those opening stages? And were you surprised at how adventurous Sunderland were when we all expected a low block?
Well, yeah, I didn't walk into it with any real expectations. I just know that they're going to go long, and I thought they showed a lot of courage when we played them away. I thought they got the ball forward, got up behind it, seconds, a little bit of tippy-tap in the centre of mid, and I thought they'd do the same again, And what I did discover from watching them live, I wasn't at the away game, was they're very direct. They play for territory, they go long, they go to sides, they don't mind even giving away a throw-in, like playing for a line-out almost, and then trying to squeeze you in. They know who they are, and they play to it. And to be fair to the referee, he sort of let them fight, Saliba and Brobbey. He let them fight. Every now and again, he called one up to say, look, I need to manage you, but I'm not going to give you a cheap one all the time for Sunderland. I think that allowed us to get around him, sort of pin him, hold him, and then nibble from the front, take it away, and then start to get waves of attack. And you could see the fatigue getting to Sunderland. And you can always tell this by how quickly they get out to the wide men. When they start to get out there with twos, you think, okay, they're sharp. When they're getting out there with just one, and there's no one within 8 feet of him, you know that they're settling in and they're starting to barricade the box. And when they start to barricade the box, where's the space, right? The space is on the edge of the box. And that sort of density that we have to play against all the time gets greater and greater and greater as games go on. And so in a strange way, the early chance we had from Havertz, I think, we need to get a couple of those early chances to really open the game up slightly. But Sunderland settled in thinking we'll deal with Arsenal in the aerial balls, and I do think selection of Havertz was a really key one, because just because of his height in our attacking box, but defensively as well. And so we could put him back for free kicks, help deal with them. If Marino was fit, I think he'd have played this game. It was definitely a game for tall boys, you know. It was definitely a tall player game to really sort of win that ball, physically show them, and then take the game away from later in the game. So interesting to see Sunderland. And we look at the Premier League and our great finance, etc., and what they've done has been an absolute model to buy the players they've bought, the physicality of them, the speed of them. They know what they are. They're playing areas. And they're the only unbeaten home team in the league, I believe. And
they are, yeah.
Yeah, so fair play to them, man. Fair play to them. And yeah, we done them. And they were in the game, but we done them. But you sort of can appreciate the opposition as well. And I'm happy with the point, but I'm also know that you can see where I've taken points for some of the big teams this season, including us.
Yeah, I mean, even though Arsenal are third in the league for shots per game and second for shots on target per game, I don't think we're a team who shoot from distance very often. And some people will say that's right because they're low quality chances. But then others will say things happen when you shoot. You know, bounces fall your way, deflections go your way. Sometimes someone can pick out a top corner and you're laughing. Just ask Aston Villa, who seem to score a long shot every game. I probably fall somewhere in the middle, but these type of games need shots from distance because A, they break up the monotony of just sending in crosses all the time, which their giant centre-backs were comfortable heading out. And B, when teams are camped in their own box, like you said, Clive, that often means space is left on the edge of the box in central spaces, which gives you opportunity to test the keeper. Yeah. And I was really happy to see Rice try his luck with that first effort. Zubimendi obviously takes his goal beautifully from the edge of the box, waits for it, cuts across it, manages to squeeze it into the near post. Havertz also tried his luck from the edge of the box at the end of the first half. It just curled wide. So I feel like the team sensed that, you know, they needed to take those shots from distance to really test the goalkeeper and give Sunderland a different threat to worry about. And obviously, Paul, we spoke about Zubi's goal on the instant reaction. Just talk us through it again from your perspective and what you've made of his impact in the final third so far.
So what the first thing you spot with that is Trossard. Like, he's on the ball. He knows exactly what Zubimendi is looking for. And Zubimendi and Trossard rolls it super slow so that Zubimendi can line it up. Then Zubimendi whacks it with the outside of the boot. There's no space to score that goal. It isn't really on. The keeper should have it, should cover it, except he catches it so perfectly. It's not all power. It's just finesse. The curl, the inside of the post, it's inch perfect. You know he knows what he's doing. Like that was sometimes it's kind of you hit it from distance and you try and put some power on it. He didn't hit it with power. He hit it with absolute precision. The guy's got such quality in his boots. And like Arteta did talk about these shots from goal and from distance on goal. And like he's probably famous for one or two himself. Like my actual Twitter handle, Poznan in my pants, comes from the City game where he scored the 1-0 from outside the box himself some time ago. And yeah, I had some line about it because they were all doing the Poznan dance at that stage. Hence, I came up with some Twitter comment and decided that would be a good Twitter name. So he talked about hitting it from distance, and his answer was, if it's on, right? If it bounces for you, if it sits up for you, you take the shot. If you got somebody in a better position, you pass it. And I think that's what you do, right? If the guy on the ball can hit that shot and it sits up for him, you go for it. And like it was a feature, I think, in particular, the first half in this game. We didn't have much else on. There was a Madueke cross into the box that if somebody had got right there, maybe that could have turned into something. We had other attacks, but not a huge number of situations. But we had 3 peaches of shots from midfielders, Zubimendi, obviously, Rice and Havertz, that all of them you're like, oh, so close. So you want to take those shots. So, yeah, it was, but like Zubimendi, huge amount of credit, but Trossard reads that so well. He could have put some pace on it. He took all the pace off for it so that It was right where Zubimendi wanted. He knew when it was arriving. It was perfect.
I mean, that was his 6th goal this season in all competitions. 5 of those have come in the Premier League. And when I think of the volley against Forest, I think of the shimmy and the quick feet against Chelsea, this strike against Sunderland. He even smacked the bar away to Sunderland earlier on this season. We're seeing a player add layers to their game. And Arteta even said it's come as a bit of a surprise to us. So really good to see that sort of development happening in front of our eyes. And Clive, adapting to English football is difficult, right? Especially for midfielders, because you need to come in and match the pace and the intensity of the league right away. There have been a couple of mistakes, but otherwise it's been pretty seamless from Zubimendi, who looks every bit worth the lengthy pursuit. How would you rate his impact so far and his general performance on the day?
Sorry, I think he's been completely transformational, actually. I think there's a couple of players in our team that make other players look better. Havertz is one, and I think the psychological sort of partnership he has with Rice is really, really good. I think they've both become more all-rounded this year, and I think they understand each other. So sometimes Rice drops behind him, sometimes they swap it around. Let's really understand what the game requires. I think Zubimendi's role since Odegaard has been out has maybe tweaked a little bit. But we need his ability to get on the ball. We need that sort of ball-dominant player that's just not scared of the ball. I think Rice is much more reactionary to the transition phases of the game. Zubimendi, just a good footballer that gets the team going. When he made a mistake against Manchester United, saw a few things out there saying he's not passing the ball forward like he used to. He's just playing the game of football, and he knows what it needs. And I think I said last week, I think my Twitter told me that basically I spoke about out the area shots, because you can just see what's happening. And when he scored that goal, got loads of people came back saying, "You were right, you're right." It's just the nature of late in the season. Phil Foden taught me that, and I think teams want to be the team that stops you. So to do that, they want to compress the spaces. And so we need shooters. We need Trossard, Eze, Zubimendi, Rice. We need shooters, and we need to threaten the goal. We need to take those shots really, really quickly, because when they're there, you just got to. And I think that's going to change things. So Zubimendi, for me, if we win the league, it'll be a big partly because of him. And it's not about the players that he's replaced. It's about how he plays. It's completely different to what we've seen before. So structurally, we've changed. We've become far more rotational due to him and where he pops up. So any of our previous number 6s were not popping up on the left corner flag and crossing it with his left foot to the back post. This is a different game. This is a different position. There's much more depth to his game. And he's allowed to be that player, and I think it's for other people to now coexist with him. And because of his ability in all different spots, that position, the third midfielder, is now becoming a second striker profile. And, this is something that I love. I love this. This is where is the game evolving to? Look what Man City do. They have 2 strikers split together. They split them wide, but some go 1+1 a little bit deeper like we do. If you're going to get into that zone, you might as well have people there that can shoot and score, because everybody's a midfielder in your back line and fullbacks. So why need another one? I think Zubimendi has enabled us to think this way, just because he does everything in all phases, defensively and attacking wise, wide areas, in the box, composure, the whole show. Like the whole show. So this isn't El Neni, mate. We're a release valve player. This isn't. We've moved on, and it's just great to see that evolution.
Well, let's stay with that then, because obviously we'd rather have Odegaard available than not. But this game, we sort of went back to the Rice-Mendy pivot, and we were almost playing a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-4 at times, with Havertz alongside the striker in a free role. He is obviously capable of going short and going long as well at the same time. Whereas Odegaard in that role is very fixed to a midfield 3. He likes to touch the ball, and we lean towards the right side when that happens. But Havertz gives us an opportunity to go through the middle and in behind. So we had a couple of goalless draws, and then the defeat to United, which led to some frustration about our tactics and our decision making. Our fullbacks are higher than our wingers. Odegaard slows us down. So tell me, Clive, how has this shift helped Arsenal?
For me, if you've got somebody in the middle of the pitch that doesn't mind receiving it and can protect it, you're going to give him the ball. If you've got people in the middle of the pitch that can't protect it, going to get teared through, you don't give them the ball. You tell you what you do, you go wide. Because you know you're not going to lose it there. It's very, very simple. There's no players really, really well. And so it's interesting, Odegaard, when he played against Leeds, you see the way he took the ball on the arc a lot? He took it on the run. And I think he needs to arc side to side so he receives it on the run, which means he can continue running or he can chop it. So he's in charge of the duel. When he receives it standing, facing the goal, then that's not him. And so it's all about how he receives the ball. And with Havertz and Eze, for example, and Marino, they're just happy receiving it. They're more physical. They can roll off people. When someone kicks them in the back of the car, they go, "What was that? Was that a wasp? No problem. I'll just keep moving around the corner." And they're just different bodies, right? And so you can play in there. And I think that centrality is really important to us. I'm fresh off watching the City game. Look how central they were, particularly in the first half. Rat-a-tats down the middle. Look at Manchester United, rat-a-tats down the middle. This is a new thing now, the new trend. Don't want boring Arsenal going out to the wings all the time. Let's go for the middle and see what happens. Well, you can do that. You best be accurate, and you best have a bit of quality there. And there will be games for an Odegaard. For example, in the game, I'm sorry, the City game's in my mind. In that first half, I'm thinking, Liverpool, please, 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 bring on another midfielder because you're getting done. And if
Curtis Jones.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if this was us, we'd be bringing Odegaard on for that game. You know why? He'd get on the ball, he control the area. And this is what's so beautiful about the game of football. It starts and you think, hold on, we haven't quite got the right personnel. Can we change it? Liverpool didn't. We have the ability to do it. And then that's really important. That's why we are where we are. We have the ability to do it. And so it's a very interesting phase of football at the moment. I must admit, I'm loving it. I'd love to be 58 points clear at the top of the table like everybody else. It's not going to happen, right? So but I'm loving the changes in the game.
Paul, do you think the Havertz shadow striker Thomas Muller role is here to stay, or is this something short-term until we get Saka and Odegaard back and they'll be straight back in?
It's pretty addictive, isn't it? It's really hard to move away from it, and whether he's starts as striker or... It feels like when we first put him in midfield, it was more left eight-ish. And this game, he was second striker. Literally every touch was on the right-hand side in the first half. I went and did the old where were his touches thing, and he didn't have one touch on the left-hand side. And it's kind of a free role for him, but he knows where he likes to play. And, of course, you got Jesus tends to peel a little bit to the left, so that, to my original point, that in theory balances out. And, we're just different. We're the directness, the way we can attack an opponent, the threat in behind, whether it's him or somebody else. He's just tall intelligence on legs, roaming the pitch, and he does have it's a great comparison, the Thomas Muller roundoider thing, but they have their differences, but they certainly have that in common, which is they are going to get around the pitch. They're going to move to where the space is. It's raw intelligence, and then he's got the height and the physicality that can hurt you maybe in a way that Thomas Muller could. And he'll bring players. He's also one of those guys, there's almost a spotlight on him, so he's never going to be ignored. He's going to pull players with him. So in the Gyokeres scenario, he's going to make space for Gyokeres. He's going to partner with him. He's going to, if it's not Gyokeres going through, it'll be Havertz going through. If I'm Arteta, he has lots of options. There's lots of players he can play. I think he's going to start so many games by saying, where do I want Havertz on the pitch? And that's all down to Havertz's body and how quickly he gets to full fitness and how quickly he can get to 2 games a week. But that just seems like a winning combination at the moment.
I mean, we did finish the first half strongly. We scored the goal. Jesus had that nearly moment when he was offside. Havertz shot wide. But I actually thought we started the second half quite slowly. And Sunderland had a couple of moments without hugely threatening. But then we changed things. Look, Jesus worked hard, but it was a difficult day for him against two big centre halves, right? And even Mukiele was coming in to help out. So that's a hard day for a smaller striker. The same for Madueke. He always tries, but he just couldn't really get the better of Reynildo, I don't think. So Gyokeres and Martinelli came on and they both added some much needed verticality and running power to the team. And I did a terrible job of explaining this in the IR. But what I meant to say is that Arsenal have such an impressive knack of managing the games within games, right? They know when to power up. They know when to slow things down. They're happy with things being a fight. They can sense when the opposition legs are tiring. And I think what has been a huge difference maker in our season is quite simply the bench, our squad depth, and these are Premier League stats only, but in the second halves this season, Arsenal have scored 31 goals, more than any other team, and we've only conceded 11, which is fewer than any other team. So we've made this point a million times already, and Clive, you even mentioned it in the IR, but it's amazing what can happen when Gyokeres, Martinelli and Eze are on your bench instead of Raheem Sterling, a 17-year-old Ethan Nwaneri and Nathan Butler-Oyedeji, and that's not even mentioning some of the defensive and midfield options. So Clive, I'll swing it back to you. A big squad can sometimes cause issues when you look to find the right balance between profiles and options. Maybe you can change things too much because you want to keep everyone fresh and involved. But on days like this, I think you can see the value of having that strength in depth,
Yeah, it's just where the game is going. I'm a big rugby fan, and in the bench is almost sometimes the best players are on the bench. It sounds crazy, but that's what they're doing because games are won in the last third. So, yeah, it's just where the game is going. It was really clear yesterday that how the bench was important. But Arteta mentioned it, and he's really key. It's great having names on the bench. They're going to come on and have a cigar and just not run about. Then it doesn't really matter who's there. If they come on and they're totally bought into their role and they work hard. I mean, Martinelli, for example, he's basically man of the match. It was incredible. He was there for half an hour. I just saw on the app just now, he completed the most dribbles. He deserved a goal, set up a goal, defended brilliantly, and was just a constant mess. I just don't know where he was playing. He was totally different, and it's got me thinking about him in a different way because we've had him for 6 years, and I think I've seen all the moves now. I've seen all the shots. I've seen all the crosses going in the car park. I've seen everything, right? So I haven't seen Martinelli as part of a big squad. Martinelli's been our first pick left winger for quite a long time until Trossard has sort of moved him out recently. But I haven't seen him as part of a big squad where you can just deploy him for an hour here, late in Europe here, have a sit down, don't pull your hamstring, then come back in again. And he looks razor sharp. And I started to think about him differently. And I started to say, well, hold on a minute here. I know there's lots of profit in him. If a team was to come and buy him for 50 mil, we're going to make a lot of money. We can go buy somebody else. Hold on, this kid is absolutely committed to the cause in all areas of the game and all areas of the pitch. And he looks really good. And so, sometimes even my own biases, you have to say, hold on a minute here. Just think this through a little bit. I thought he was really, really good. Gyokeres the same. Eze looks really sharp when he came on. Really sharp. It's like, wow. So they really bought into it, and so it works when you win and everyone comes on, does well, and ends the game well, and everyone claps the crowd and goes home. It's all great. The squad's great. The bench is great. I think I gave the bench my stock rising. The bench is great. And but then if they come on and stick the place out, then we're going to say, well, hold on, we should have brought this player on, and the manager can't make a substitute, and we can't. It doesn't rotate enough. He doesn't trust him. He doesn't trust him. They've got to buy into the role, and that's what they've done, and they did this really well in this game.
I mean, let's stay with Martinelli because I'm really liking the utilization of him this season. I think it feels different to the last 18 months where we were sticking him out wide on the touchline with two defenders around him and nobody else in support. And then he would just run the ball towards the corner flag. We'd either get a corner or lose a goal kick. And then that was that. The opposition knew that they could nullify him, and that pushed all their focus over to the right. they would double or triple up on Saka, and then that would kill us again. But I think I've been very consistent about this. We were not getting our wingers into dangerous positions. And for someone like Martinelli, especially, whose game is centered around the quickest route to goal and threatening either in behind or in central spaces, something had to change. So when I see the goals like the Manchester City goal, or the one against Athletic in the Champions League, or the one against Bayern, this assist from yesterday, this feels like a much more sensible way to platform his directness and acceleration. And I think you said it before, many people will have had him as a candidate for sale last summer or either this summer. And I still think his numbers can improve in the league, but he's been a big weapon, especially in Europe, 6 goals in 8 games. And small changes like this, little tactical tweaks, can bring players back into the group. So Paul, I'll switch this over to you now. We maybe suffered from a bit of Martinelli fatigue as a fan base, but Arteta has found a way to bring him back into the group in a slightly different role. He's playing on the right, he's playing on the left, he's even heading into the central spaces at times. Obviously, nobody wants to be reduced into that super sub role, but he has been extremely effective coming on against tired defences. Is that something we should lean into a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, the best Martinelli you see is super sub Martinelli. He loves, you could bring him on for a few reasons, one of which is there's getting to be a little space in behind and he can get at them. And, you know, we can kill a game off with him. He's funny. His direct running at defenses, I mean, it's just hilarious. I still remember the one, who was it? He played where he's like beating them all. He's running with the ball. He's into the box. Everybody's behind him and he's celebrating and he hasn't even put the ball in the back of the net.
Oh, Aston Villa. Yeah.
Aston Villa. Yeah. Just
that was the Emi Martinez own goal game.
Yeah, that's the one. He's just funny. He's funny on those runs and so effective. And, you know, he draws them all in and he slips it out to Gyokeres, who must be thinking, oh shit, he's going to have a shot himself and I'm wide open. And I'm thinking Scott Willis will be on there with like some picture of should he have passed or should he have shot? Well, guess what? He passed and it was perfect. And even Victor Gyokeres couldn't miss. That's a joke. It's a joke, guys. No.
Don't look at me, guys. I didn't say it.
Yeah. Victor had a very good game when you put it all together. And of course, he had 2 goals. But, for the people out there who find that kind of thing vaguely, whatever. The other reason you bring on Martinelli is you need some serious defending done. And that can be left wing, right wing. He can get on for either of those. Or you need, like, if you're going to put him on the left wing, have him with Jesus and a little kind of partnership and understanding. We've seen that side of Martinelli coming out in his game. So, like, for me, those are it's not that he should never start on the left wing, but if you think it's going to be one of those where he's going to get camped, they're going to camp in and they're going to have 2 players marking him and he's not going to get much change out of them. You know, that's he's not going to star there, but those other circumstances off the bench when he can run at them or he can defend like a Trojan, or he gets the opportunity to partner somebody who comes into a space and make it all look very clever with Jesus. That's where I think he shines, and that's where he gets on the plane to Brazil in the summer. And the bench, the finishers thing is making all these players feel much better about them. I'm sure Gyokeres wanted to start, but he's going to come out of that game feeling way better about himself than he has from many other games. So, like, coming off the bench as a starter will probably have made those 3 players feel much more positive about their contribution and the role in the team than if they'd been starters and been in a bit of a slugfest. And like Jesus had that duty, right? He had to get in there, slug it out with centre backs, get taken off, and then when the game opens up and people can be heroes, the other guys come on, and like that's what rotation's for, and variety, and give the opposition different looks. And it was Martinelli will be feeling pretty good about himself.
I mean, we were playing a very physical, energetic team who had a week's rest. Arsenal did not have that luxury, but you still saw their physicality and running power kill Sunderland in that last third. And we spoke about Martinelli. Gyokeres is the one who comes away with the 2 goals. And things are looking pretty good for him at the moment. And I'm really pleased for him because it hasn't been easy. And I said on the IR that I'm owed some humble pie because he's proving me wrong. I went a bit hard on him after one of the goalless draws. It might have been Liverpool, but I was kind of ready to put him aside once Havertz came back. But that's 6 goals now in 2026, 3 in the league, 1 in the Champions League, 1 in the Carabao Cup. Only Igor Thiago can match that number in the Premier League, which is encouraging. And we're starting to see a player who has maybe lost some mental kilos, lost some physical kilos. And again, we can put him in that Martinelli bracket where the different game states and the different opposition are good for him. I mean, something has clicked since the turn of the year. I don't think you need to be a rocket scientist to understand what that is, because this uptick in form coincides with Gabriel Jesus and Kai Havertz coming back into the team after injury. So now we can pick and choose where we play him against specific opposition. The game states we've got the ability to put Havertz alongside him, which looks promising as a big man, bigger man partnership. We can have him running at tired defenders and into spaces towards the end of games. So instead of attacks breaking down with him coming short, we're leaving him to the stuff that he does well, which is running in behind and shooting, basically. He looks much more involved and active in front of the goal, which is all we wanted. And Clive, Arteta spoke about confidence being the magic word when it comes to Gyokeres' recent form. And I think that's a big factor for strikers. But what else do you think has changed for him, if anything?
Okay, I am on holiday and I am away, but you still get your brands. You still find out about your brands. And before Clive tells you anything about Viktor Gyokeres, which he was about to do, I'm going to tell you about Factor meals. So for the longest time, I found it such a pain in the neck to figure out what to cook, what to make, where to buy groceries, how to cook healthy. You wind up ordering delivery that's not healthy, that doesn't fit your lifestyle, whether that's weight training or you're on a GLP-1 or you're just trying to be more cognizant of the lean proteins and good vegetables that you get. Factor is always healthy, good, fresh food. And it takes a couple of minutes and it's ready to go. If it's cold out and you don't want to leave the house, or if you just don't have the time, or you find it difficult to think about meals, well, then it's always fresh. It's never frozen. It's ready in about 2 minutes. There's no prep and no stress. So whatever your lifestyle, this is the way to eat right. Head to factormeals.com/ArsenalVision50 off and use code ArsenalVision50 off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Eat like a pro this month with Factor. New subscribers only, varies by plan. 1 free breakfast item per box for 1 year while subscription is active. Factormeals.com. And NordVPN, it's funny, I'm on holiday and I was out, and there's a big sporting event the night that I'm recording this, the Super Bowl. And people here were wondering how they could watch because we're somewhere where you can't watch your domestic TV plan. And I said, well, I'm just going to use a VPN. And they said, what VPN do you use? I said, Nord. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do that. So we gave them the promo code. They signed up, and immediately, like, that was so easy to install and to get using. So yes, people need it. People use it. It is extremely easy to do. You go to nordvpn.com/ArsenalVision. You get 4 bonus months for free. You get a great discount, by the way, off your Nord plan to begin with, which is awesome. And you are going to be able to browse wherever you want to browse and watch the things you want to watch without having to worry about being geo-locked. Plus, there's threat protection. So we love Nord. You're going to love Nord. Go to nordvpn.com/ArsenalVision for bonus months on top of your huge discount and a 30-day money-back guarantee. And Shopify. If you want to start an e-commerce site, you need to know things like, how do I sell on TikTok shop, on Facebook shop, on Instagram shop? I was listening to a speaker the other day talking about business. One of the things they said has changed the world of business forever is they called it the Shopifyification of the industry, because Shopify has made it so easy for people who aren't Fortune 500 companies to get their products out into the market to the people that want them. And I think it really has democratized the ability to sell the things you want to sell and have the business you want to have. So whether you make art or you make pottery or whatever it is, you want to get your product in front of people, and you don't want to have to develop a website. You just put the price in, the pictures, the description, it does the rest. In 2026, stop waiting and start selling with Shopify. Cha-ching.com. Go to shopify.com/ArsenalVision. That's shopify.com/ArsenalVision. Shopify.com/ArsenalVision for your $1 per month trial and start selling today. Shopify.com/ArsenalVision. Do it now. Clive, you can now tell us what you were about to say about Gyokeres.
So yeah, I think it's a style thing. With Gyokeres, it's very easy to fall into a Everyone says he's rubbish, so I'm going to say he's rubbish. But with this player, the reason why I sort of stayed with him is because I've seen him play really well. If I hadn't got Lisbon last year, I wouldn't maybe not have been so supportive, you see what I mean? But once you see something, you have to remind yourself, well, it's there. And when he came to Arsenal, he wasn't moving as I expected or I've seen. And I think there were phases in the season where we stopped playing direct. So same for Martinelli. The start of the year, the biggest change to us this year is our want and the messaging to play against unsettled defences. Last year is very much, we will start to attack once we're comfortable with our rest defence. Then we go. We go into wide areas. We ask one man to beat 3 players and put it into a box. So everyone knows our patterns of play until we get stopped. And so now this year, we are far more help it around the corner, go forward directly. Then we stopped doing that for a while. We started to play about for a bit. And we lost him, and it's quite interesting to see that Martinelli and Gyokeres have had decent seasons so far. And why is that? The common denominator is how we're playing and how we're deploying these players. So with Gyokeres now, his best games came after rest, and as soon as he missed a game, then he'll play well. Our 2 other forwards that are in the squad right now have been out for a calendar year each. And so this player has been critical. We wouldn't be anywhere near where we are in the League or Champions League without him. Regardless of his performance, he provides the team direction, and every team needs a place to go. All your play needs to end up somewhere, and it needs to go towards him. Now, his touches don't sort of validate that, but you don't have to even win the ball. You just need to go and put pressure on the ball. Look at the second goal against Sunderland. We gave the ball away in the corner flag. We pressure it. We get it back. 2 passes into the box, goal. And that's who we are, right? So you just need to play in territory, play in areas, and he provides a lot of direction for us. And I do think in his first season, he's starting to look lighter. And I saw it yesterday. I don't mean that he was heavy, but I saw him yesterday warming up on the sideline. And I sit in the corner flag in North Bank area, and the subs warm up in front of me. And I barely recognised him with his full tracksuit on and all the gear. Who's that player? Oh, Gyokeres. He looks fit. And it's taken him this long, maybe, from the second injury, from the injury before at Burnley half-time, to get into shape. He looks fitter, he looks lighter, and the crowd love him. The crowd absolutely love him. I recognising he's different to what we have. He's not going to win a skill school dribble competition, but he's got concrete in that right boot. He really has, and he hits that ball, it stays hit. And there's more to come. We haven't seen a lot of those cracking shots yet, but there is more to come, and I'm really, really pleased with him because we need this player. We need this player in our squad.
I mean, I was under no illusions that we needed him. I just got dazzled by the newly cut mullet into Kai Havertz, and I was ready to put all my hopes and dreams into him. So I mean, honestly, I feel like the criticism of him at the time was justified. I didn't think he was sharp or alert enough to get onto things in the box. He was anonymous for many games in terms of shots on target, things like that. But Paul, maybe I was guilty of expecting him to do things and be things I knew he wasn't in the absence of others, because we know that Jesus can do the linky stuff. We know that Havertz can do the linky stuff as well. And he sort of embarrasses everyone by being able to do everything. But now that we're able to simplify more of his core game, he looks more comfortable. So does that make sense? What's your take on Gyokeres, and how do you see his involvement moving forward?
Yes, you were guilty of it. Look, for not to let you off the hook. I mean, he's been okayish for a while, and I think he started the season like this. I mean, that's basically where I fell into him. He started the season slowish, okayish. You were squinting to see something there, and he got better, he got stronger, he got a bit more integrated. He started to look good, and universally, I think we all said, oh, okay, hang on, he's starting to look good. He's starting to be a bit of a force, and he got injured. And it feels like we were right back to where we were when he came back. And so he's like a little heavy, not as heavy at the start of the season in terms of how he's running, how he's carrying himself. Took a bit to get going. And he's in a team in which we've lacked players who kind of, like when you see him with Havertz, you immediately say, oh, okay, this makes sense now. There's somebody else in the area, somebody to add a little chaos, a little physicality. When he's there on his own against centre backs, it's not all his fault, right? We've created a dynamic in which other teams are looking to sit in and stop us and slow us down. And he gets to be the guy who stands near that, and he's not great at dropping in, and he's not really the guy you want him to drop into the middle of the pitch and start picking up the ball as Raya distributes down the middle. I mean, he's okay. It's not his forte. And so he's clearly a player that if he's going to star and shine for us, it's because we have different tactical ways of playing and the opposition isn't set against it. And you got Havertz in his area, and you got maybe Eze in form, which he hasn't had either. So he's had to do a lot of waiting for Godot, right? Waiting for Arsenal to be the kind of dynamic attack in which he can shine more. That's not an excuse for him. It's just a reality. We've been a bit static in the attack. It hasn't just been about him or because of him. And now that we're more dynamic, suddenly it starts to make sense. Now that you got him and Martinelli's running out of defense because there's a bit of space behind us, suddenly it makes sense. Now you got Havertz getting into interesting pockets, and somebody can knock a ball in behind, and just a bit of chaos. He starts to look like he makes more sense, and we've got other options to start and bring him off the bench. Started to make a lot of sense.
I mean, overall, this was a very mature and professional performance.
Can I just hold you on
how you play.
Can I hold you on the
yeah, sure.
I think the key thing is proximity. Right? Look at all his best games. He had a partner. And it's very simple. The Burnley game, he had Eze. The Newcastle game, he had Eze behind him. Recently, he's come into our minds. Why? Because he's got Havertz. He just needed proximity.
Yeah. Before that, he had Marino.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Yeah. I wasn't sure. I was looking for the game just now, and I couldn't see which one. He just needs proximity to take. And as soon as he has that, he becomes a different player. And so I think there are physical issues. There were overplaying issues, and he had to do things when other people weren't there. But his best games have come normally away from home with proximity of another player around him. What's really happened recently now, he started to play well at home and have an impact at home, which is interesting because a lot of teams disappear. Okay, this game was slightly different in the game state. But proximity of that 9 and 10 role, I'm sorry to bang on about it, but I think it's critical for our season. I really do. And how we manipulate that. And for me, this is where we're evolving beautifully. And he's become a beneficiary of it. And I am gutted Marino's not here. Absolutely gutted. In fact, I think Marino would have started this game. Havertz would have sat down. And Marino would have played in this game because he's better defensively and he's just as good in the air. More of a midfielder, second striker type thing. And we got to look after Havertz, right? He's so important. So if Marino was fit, I think he sits this game. You know, and so that's it. So, but Gyokeres, definitely, he's on his way. He's on his way. He scored the most goals this year, Phil. I read something. He scored the most goals in the league this year, or maybe goal involvement of anybody. Mm-hmm. Maybe Haaland scored, so maybe that's changed. But yeah, it's really exciting to have this player. And I sort of tweeted out yesterday, we've finally found our Franny Jeffers, right? We finally found him. But but yeah, I'm just so pleased. Really pleased.
I mean, I agree with you. After the goalless draws in January and the defeat to United, I was ready to lean back into Marino and Eze being the front two, for example, because Havertz wasn't quite there yet, Jesus wasn't quite there yet. So I was recognizing that we played better with someone closer to the centre forward, which we haven't needed to do in the past because Kai Havertz can do everything, you know. And I agree with you. I think it's nice that we've managed to find a way to get him positive and in good areas and taking shots again, because that's his USP. I don't need him to be dropping and linking play anymore. I need him to be in the box whacking shots. So hopefully that this can be the sort of line in the sand and the change moving forward. like I said before, professional win against a relegated team. Sunderland will take points off people. They have taken points off people this year. You know, they gave us a good go in that first half, but we sort of flexed our muscles in the second. And just quickly before we move on, I think Trossard is worth a mention because I thought he was great in this game in a more creative role. He was starting from the left, but you could see very early on that he was given license to roam. He was drifting out to the right, dropping deep to pick up the ball in central areas. He was whacking diags out to the left. And when he was on the left, he gave Mukiele and Hume a difficult game with those twisty, turny runs that make life difficult for defenders, even without that raw pace to create, you know, separation. And just running through a few stats from the game: 70 touches, 8 progressive carries, 9 shot creating actions, 4 key passes, 3 shots. I mean, that's a hell of a sheet, right? And I think in the absence of Odegaard, Saka, and even Eze, he was our technical reference point in the final third. And I think he did a great job of bringing some edge to a more functional front line. Obviously, he played a big part in the second goal. And I just really hope this injury isn't too serious. We don't know much about it yet at the moment, whether it was cramp or an actual muscle issue. But I was really impressed with him. And Paul, you know, there was an argument for him being our player of the first half of the season, but he hit a bit of a wall, came out of the team, looked back to his best again yesterday. Is this what we need to do with him? Activate angry Trossard, leave him on the bench so he's miserable and then comes back with a massive "I told you so" on my forehead? Because that's when he seems to have the motivation to play really well. And I just love how he's really stepping up, not only in the final third, but defensively his game has come on unbelievably well.
Yeah, well, either it's angry Trossard or it's they gave him a blank check to do what he wanted to do, because 90 seconds into this game, he's in the right back spot, creating, and like generally you'll see that our king for progressive passes and progressive carries is Rice, but this is the Trossard game. He's off the charts in chances, increasing probability of attacking chances. It's all Trossard. He's all over the place, especially the first half, where I think we needed to get things going. He's popping up on the right-hand side. He's on the right wing. I'm like, and I keep thinking, well, maybe it's because it was, a set piece that sometimes you'll see everybody swapped around their sides off a set piece or a corner or something like that. No, it was open play. He had license to roam. So probably what you need is Odegaard and Saka not on the pitch. And Arteta says, well, I need a joker in the pack. I need Trossard. Go do your thing. Go be where you need to be. What I love about him is his defense. Like, he doesn't get yanked off at like 70, 75 minutes because we need to defend. Like, he matches Martinelli these days in his defensive seriousness and intensity. And smallest guy on the pitch very often, but low center of gravity, and he uses it really well to defend against attacking players. Pretty much nobody gets past him. Like, you're not going to twist and turn Trossard if you're in our kind of back corner near the corner flag. You're not getting past him. You're not going to trick your way past the byline. He celebrates tackles he makes. That's the stuff that keeps you on the pitch, and obviously it's something Eze's working on. But if you want a kind of a template for what you want to do if you're Eze, it's like, look at what Trossard did when he joined this team. He was the creative player you get off after 60, 70 minutes when he starts. Not anymore. You know, okay, if you can bring on Hincapié and that's appropriate for that stage of the game because they're going to be floating in high balls, but you might well just leave him on and make a sub somewhere else where you feel a little more vulnerable. He's so impressive. And I didn't think his quiet spot recently, like, I certainly saw it talked about. I just thought sometimes you get a run of games like that, 2 or 3, where not really your time to shine. I thought he was okay recently. Wasn't looking at him thinking, oh, he's lost, or his head's not there, he's not focused, or he's physical. I just thought sometimes you get 2 or 3 games where you go from being the guy to not being the guy so much. And this was a game where they gave him a blank check and he spent it.
I mean, I think they gave him a blank check in the summer as well, which might have helped. I mean, Clive, sometimes in football, you need an adult in the room. And I feel like he brought that sense of maturity and security in his game from the moment he stepped into the club. How valuable are these types of players if you want to win things? And I include Marino in this kind of bracket as well.
Yeah, the squad balance is lovely, and in this game, I have been a little bit, let's say, concerned. You know, we all watched it. We watched the players, didn't we? We all want them to be in great form all the time, and he just flattened. He's just given some 6.5 out of 10. No massive mistakes there anywhere. Just a little bit flat. But yesterday, mate, honestly, Phil, from the first second that game whistle went, he was different, and he was bouncing around and creating movements, and he's got clear patterns of play, right? So he does the old spin long, come short, receive. He does the old spin short, go long in behind. He's got loads of different shuffle moves. He's got the nutmeg pass inside. So players know when he gets it out there, they start to run off him now, and they trust him to find him. So he's got like 10 moves, and he brings them out every single game. You know, it's brilliant to watch. It's like, it's brilliant to watch. And he's just got a lovely little third man run pass. And Calafiori or Rice get on the end of it. Havertz got on the end of one in this game, obviously. And he's just so wise and head up. And he just looks a really good footballer. And there's a Sunderland home game. One of my favourite goals. My favourite goal of last season was the Gabriel header at Spurs. My favourite goal of this season was the Trossard shot at Sunderland. Because it's almost like we don't really do that. You know, roofing the net from outside the box. And I just thought it was brilliant. And he's delivering. And when we come to pick our first 11s in the crunch games later in the season, that's what these players are playing for now. That's why the bench is springing around like 2-year-olds. They're thinking, when it gets hot, I want to be in the team. You know, I like this squad thing. I'm on the boat. I love it. But mate, when it comes to the big ones, make sure you pick me. And that starts now. So, and Trossard said, well, I'm not going to get left out. Martinelli's looking quite good. They say, comes on, well, I want to play. And he's running around, like sprinting around, pressing the game. And hopefully this is going to lift our performance levels. And come Brentford on Thursday night, mate, we'll all be watching keenly, won't we? that this continues.
Yeah, crunch time. Yeah, really good result. I thought we had a couple of really good individual performances. Gyokeres with a brace, another clean sheet, which is important. That's 2 in a row now. So, yeah, really, really good day at the office, I think, for the team, for the group. There's a good feeling around what we're doing at the moment after that little blip in January. Even though we're not playing until Thursday and the gap could be reduced to 3 points by then because Manchester City play Fulham before us. Let's finish with a quick preview of the Brentford game because I think this could be a really tough night for Arsenal, actually. Obviously, we're in a great position. We've given ourselves maybe some leeway to have a bad day, but again, it's entirely dependent on that Man City result. But Brentford are actually in better form than us points-wise over the last 6 games and will be looking to cause a big upset at home. I mean, I think they deserve so much credit as a club for how they've handled this season, having lost Thomas Frank, their captain Christian Norgard, and 39 league goals in the form of Yohan Wissa and Brian Mbeumo, all in one summer. So that's 4 key references, and they were many people's favourites to go down, with a set-piece coach taking his first senior role in Keith Andrews. But they're not only surviving, but thriving up in the table. I mean, I don't know if any of today's results impacted anything, but they were 7th when I was looking yesterday. I'll have a quick look now and see where they are. Okay, they're still 7th. So it's gone like better than anyone could have imagined there. They've only lost twice at home all season. They beat Newcastle on Saturday. They came from behind to beat them as well. So it's difficult. This is a difficult league, and the teams that you'd normally look at on the team sheet and say, oh, we should be able to beat them away from home. It's not so easy. They've beaten Villa, United, Liverpool and Newcastle at home this season. So we're going to have our wits about us. And I think Keith Andrews deserves credit too, because last year they were a back 3 team playing direct vertical football. They had the wing backs pushing forward. Obviously, they were playing with Mbeumo and Wissa, who were looking to get in behind all the time. He's just tweaked things slightly. They're using a back 4 now. They use Igor Thiago as the reference point, and then they've got the flyers either side, usually Kevin Schade and Ouattara. Thankfully for us, Schade is suspended. But Clive, same rules apply. Saka is out. Odegaard is out. Where do you think Arteta goes with the team? I'd be very surprised if it's not Gyokeres and Havertz up front together again.
It'll be Gyokeres and somebody. We'll see what that second player looks like. I think after the result, Liverpool City result. I think you wanna make sure you do your job, and so. And we've got Wigan on the Sunday, I believe. So there's going to be a lot of changes. So there are some tanks that are going to get emptied. And maybe we're a little bit fortunate having a Saturday to Thursday gap. So we can really get some rest in the people after the big Chelsea game, for example. And so we have a bit of a break. And we get a bit of a break of our cup draw. Wigan are going to fill out the lower tier, etc. But it's still a lower league team. So we get a bit of a break there. Which we didn't get last season with Newcastle and Manchester United at this time of the year, And so, hey, look, we know this game was the one that was all in our minds. We had an inkling we'd probably be all right against Sunderland, who were quite low down the away form team, league table. But Brentford away on the Thursday night was always the one, and Brentford are a wonderful club, wonderful team, really smart thinking club, really forward thinking. And you just know that this is going to be a tough one. However, when we played them in a home game, we beat them sort of properly. It was like, I could see that there was a gap there, and there was an acceptance from them. There's a gap. Their home crowd, nighttime, can be different. This is again, they got nothing to lose. They're up there in the league, doing really, really well. But I think we're going to be focused, and I expect us to do it. I really do. And if we don't, oh dear.
Oh no, don't say it, Clive.
I expect us, honestly, I expect us to do it. I saw a lovely focus in the game against Sunderland. I expect us to do it. I think the Manchester United game, the loss, was sort of important. We could have drew against Manchester United and then drawn against Leeds. We'd have 1 point less than we'd have now. I think the loss has refocused people. It maybe took some of the tension away. I didn't feel the tension in the ground against Sunderland again. It wasn't the same. It's actually quite joyous. And I just think, until, I think that's going to continue. But let's see how we start. I think it's very important to start with our energy and impose ourselves on them. Really be physical, strong, knowing what they want to do, but really say no. If you're Arsenal and you've waited 22 years to get to a league title, and you've got to go to Brentford away to really solidify your title charge, mate, just go and do it. Seriously, go and do it. Have no regrets. And I think we'll be fine.
I mean, like Sunderland, Brentford are a physical team as well. I mentioned they've got Igor Thiago leading the line, but Ouattara, pacey runner who likes to get in behind, Coyote, really solid right back. They've got Christopher Ayer at the back, Sepp van den Berg. So there's a lot of height in this team. There's a lot of intensity. Paul, what kind of game are you expecting against Brentford, and how do you think Arsenal will set up tactically, considering we maybe expected Sunderland to be a bit different or play a bit differently than how they actually did? Are we just going to go in with our own plan, or are we going to tailor things a little bit for them?
Yeah, I think Sunderland will have been good practice. It might, although that was our home game there, Brentford can sit in a bit. They have a mid block. They like to hit you with runners on the counter. They like to hit the wings. But we're kind of set up to handle counters and teams that like to hit you on the break and like to hit the wings. If Calafiori is fit, Timber's fit, our two big lads down the middle.
Would you play Calafiori or Incapi?
Depends on what I think. I wouldn't play this weekend's Calafiori. But I might play next Thursday's
and we didn't talk
Calafiori.
about him, but he had a bit of a shocker, to be fair.
Yeah, he was just very rusty, right? So it depends, Clive. If I'm Arteta and what I'm seeing on the practice pitch is, he's back to his levels, then I'd play that Calafiori. Because you need that, you need to be able to cover the left back spot, but you also need to be able to have the Joker in the pack effect that a fully fit and firing Calafiori gives you, so that you have that bit of divilment in your attack. So, but based on what we saw this weekend, yeah, you're probably right. You probably lean towards Hincapié and kind of make sure you got that covered. Maybe give Timber a little bit more license to get forward. But with Havertz in the mix, I think we're going to do better against mid blocks. It's definitely going to be a game for patience. you could go the first half without us getting the goal we're looking for, but we've got to be patient. We can handle them. They like their set pieces too. So
and the long throws.
Could be a bit of a
Yeah.
So it could be a bit of a set piece duel. Yeah, it's not going to be an easy game.
Saka might be back. Is Saka definitely out?
That's true.
I mean, the reporting I read was that he's being readied for Spurs on the 22nd, which is quite a way away. But maybe you've heard something else in a WhatsApp group.
Well, I watched the press conferences, and he said he's back very soon, very, very soon. And with my bias and hope, and optimism, I'm thinking, well, that's Brentford. Right, so let's see. I think I'm hoping he'll be back anyway.
I think we've got scope to change both the fullbacks, to be honest. I would be tempted to bring in Nkapie, and I would be tempted to play Ben White, because with Sharda missing, they've got Keane Lewis Potter out there, who I don't think is as physical. I don't think he's as pacey, and I think we could use Ben White in the final third. So I think we've got scope to change both of the fullbacks up, to be honest. I don't know if you agree, Clive. Or
Well, I watched Nkapie come on yesterday, and Calafiori lost his GPS, mate. I don't know where he was passing to. He lost it, and then couldn't find anybody, which is very unlike him, because he can just pass the ball and move the ball. If he hasn't got a pass, he just runs it there. So giving the ball away is not really something that he does. It's actually quite surprising. And when he got substituted, he had the ump with himself. Nkapie came on and just gave us loads of forward movement and thrust. And sometimes the game suits you. And he's really growing on me big time. And so I'm not bothered. I think with Waitara out there, I'm thinking the sharper player, but that's just doesn't really matter, because Calafiori's, when he's on it, everyone's following him rather than following in the wing, that sort of thing. So, but yeah, I was surprised Ben White didn't start yesterday. I would have preferred Timber to play this game, but Phil, I think you're right. I think Ben White, if everything's okay, because he hasn't had a second, right? If everything's okay.
Was he on the bench the other day? He was, wasn't he?
Yeah, so against Chelsea, he didn't come on because we didn't change anything, did we, against Chelsea in the back four? And so against Sunderland, I don't think he came on, did he? Unless I was in the in the toilet.
No, he didn't.
And
he was on the bench though.
He's on the bench. Yeah, I saw him warming up. So if he's all right, then it will be good to freshen that situation up and have a different face. But because I think Madueke may need a little bit of help. With Madueke, what I've noticed from watching him, he's very young, and he plays young, super talented, super physical, super quick, but he's quite young and inexperienced in those critical moments, and so he's a little bit like that. So having somebody that's right next to him that can go around him sort of simplifies it for him a little bit, and so I quite like that partnership. So, whereas Timber's a bit harder to read. Timber and Saka are great together, like twins. They attack together, they defend together. They share everything. But the Madueke White thing, I think that's got a bit more potential. So I'm with you, Phil. We should change it there.
I mean, I wouldn't be against it. I think in terms of the opposition and who is available, I think we've got scope to do it. I would go again with Havertz and Gyokeres if Havertz is fit enough to be able to do it. I just feel we've sort of struck gold a little bit now with this formation. We've left some of the issues that were in that 4-3-3. We didn't quite have the balance right. A couple of people didn't really know where to stand and where to receive the ball, but now we've got complete clarity. And I don't know if it's going to be our story for the rest of the season, but it might just be our story for now. So I think we should stick with that. And otherwise, I think, look, today was a blow, right? We all feel it. I think it was really disappointing to see Liverpool lose that, and more importantly, to see City win it. That's a big psychological boost for them, because I think even a draw today would have been a huge uphill battle for them. 8 points behind. We gave ourselves a security blanket. So it's a blow, right? But we have to do our job. Brentford away is going to be a difficult game. Let's be honest, the gap is most likely going to be 3 points by the time we play on Thursday. Everyone's going to be watching us on Thursday night. So can we go again? Can the group go again? And I think we've shown that we can. We've shown that we bounce back from defeats very well this year. And I think, look, back-to-back clean sheets, back-to-back wins after the United defeat is very good. So yeah, just take a breath, get this game out of your system. That feels like a good place to finish. As always, we'll have an instant reaction for you after the game on Thursday and some content, hopefully, to keep you ticking over before that. I'm not sure what that content is yet. Maybe a Elliot solo pod because he can't help himself, or a One Club episode after the women's brilliant 1-0 win today against City. So congratulations to them. So if you're not already signed up to the Patreon, try us out. Extra content is always good content. Otherwise, all that's left for me to do is thank the guys. Clive, always a pleasure chatting.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul.
Woohoo! From me and the dogs.
Wow. The double, thank you. And that's kicked everybody off. My name is Phil Costa, and thanks for putting up with me for this episode. You'll probably be sick of me by the end of this week, but don't worry, Elliot will be back soon. I don't have him tied up in my basement or anything, and then everything will be back up to normal. But otherwise, thanks as always for listening. We love you, and we will talk to you after Arsenal 10, Brentford 0.